Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball Podcast, episode 70. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaren Will each and every week, where we are going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball.
We went to a non-Division I game this week. We branched out and went and saw a friend coach a game, friend of the show, coach a game against... I guess it was an in-state matchup, right? It was an in-state matchup.
It was an in-state matchup. It was a top 25 matchup.
Yeah, I can't remember if they were top 25 or receiving votes at the time. It was Indiana Wesleyan at Grace College.
I'm pretty sure that they were.
So we drove out to Winona Lake. We were joined by our friend Cody, who has his own show, Smash Hit Sports. If you've seen him on Twitter or Instagram, anywhere, he's got his own show. So he's been on here before, but he lives out that way. So we went and linked up with him and saw some really good just NAIA basketball. And I think I tweeted it, but like I knew we were in for a treat in that game because Iwu opened up the game with just splashed a 3-pointer, and then Grace came down and did a backdoor cut for an alley-oop dunk. Just the first two possessions of the game. I was like, okay, this is going to be incredible. This is going to be a perfect game.
Yeah, and we got to get a tour of their facility from Chad Briscoe, their athletic director. He showed us around. While walking around, we ran into the gentleman who owns their runs their campus store, and he gave us. He said, "I noticed you guys don't have any Grace," so he gave us a little flag that we will be putting up on the wall. I know we've alluded to it a couple times. We will be redesigning.
We will rearrange someday.
Rearrange our wall because we have a few additional jerseys to hang plus this. So that will go up.
And we need a shelf for all our miscellaneous things.
True. We also received this incredibly well done. Put it against the white backdrop. Grace bobblehead. It's the Grace Lancer. It's got some heft to it. It's incredibly good quality.
Yeah, it's very it's dense.
Yeah, it's dang near. It looks like it's hand painted. So definitely love and care went into creating this.
You know, I got one of those too, and the funny thing is I put my lance in his hand. Like he's holding it way up, and that's how I did it.
Oh,
it didn't fit like perfectly. Yours fits perfectly. Mine didn't fit perfectly, like the cut, like the paint or something.
I really wasn't sure how the lance should go in his hand.
Yeah, man.
But there's a hole down here.
Oh.
There's a spot in the base.
That's interesting.
So I thought it was weird having the handle facing up.
Yeah.
So I kind of slid it in from the bottom.
See, your dude's resting. Mine was ready for battle.
Okay.
Mine was ready for battle.
I mean, we don't often go to battle in our studio, so I felt that it was necessary.
Hey man, sometimes we have to go to war for our teams. You know, we got to put some respect on their name. Somebody's out here, not talking, give them the respect they deserve. We got to go to war for them.
That's fair. What is also fair is the discount that you, our viewers / listeners, can receive from Crow's Nest Coffee Roasters. 15% off every order. Order as many times as you want. Use the code TSOB every single time to get 15% off. The link to order is in our YouTube description and our, audio description as well.
Yeah, it's in that text there. We promise we are still working on a subscription
service,
something or other, right? So if you're looking to get a subscription instead of just buy, a couple of bags, it should work out to be cheaper, I think, because I think the purpose of a subscription is save a little bit of money to continually get it, and you're going to be getting coffee, so you're going to need coffee to watch these games, especially when like the West Coast teams are in the Big Ten, or you want to watch like St. Mary's Gonzaga. You need some coffee.
Yep. But buried the lead. Crow's Nest Coffee is the proud sponsor of our weekly State of Indiana basketball power rankings, which I will tell you right now. So at 11, staying there. This week is IU Indy. I guess staying there from last week.
Yeah.
Because this week implies the week has already started. So
the week we're covering.
Yeah.
From the last power rankings.
Yes, they stayed at 11.
Yeah, a good result and a bad result. So it just kind of is a wash in the power rankings, basically.
And then at 10, we've got Southern Indiana. They did drop quite a few spots from 7 where they were previously. That is, mostly due to, they lost both their games, and the teams that were below them either won all their games or won a game in the week. So,
and there's like a middle block here that's all pretty close. Like, very interchangeable.
It's like
week to week.
We'll call it 8A, B, C, and so on and so forth.
Call it like a tier.
Yeah.
Like tier 3.
Yeah, they're all in the same kind of tier there. Yeah, that makes sense. At 9, we've got Ball State. They did move up 1 spot with picking up a good win. 8, we've got Valpo. They dropped 2 spots from 6. At 7, we've got Indiana State, who jumped 2 spots from 9. And 6, we've got Evansville, who jumped 2 spots from 8. Then we've got Butler at 5, staying the same. Notre Dame at 4, also staying the same.
And those are 2 that we just don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they lose odd games. Like, Butler's lost so many, but, you have to, ask yourself, is it resume? Are you based on who they would beat? But also you look at like, okay, do you want to move them out of the 5 spot? Well, Evansville also did get beat at one point 80-30, right? Evansville, Indiana State, Valpo, all these teams have had pretty bad losses.
Mm-hmm.
Butler has had a lot of them. They've not had a lot of bad losses. They've had a lot of losses, but 2 teams that Evansville, Indiana State, Valpo, Ball State would all probably lose to. You just play a lot more of those teams that are of a higher caliber. So it's an interesting spot to be.
That's the challenge that we run into with a lot of, I guess most of our conference schools, especially since most of the schools in Indiana are mid majors. That's how do you find that balance?
Right, like a top 25, like a regular top 25. It's like, okay, well maybe like St. Mary's sneaks in there, but like you're not having to like justify why St. Mary's is 1 spot below Auburn.
Yeah.
Like it's like, they're deserving of being in the top 25, but
they're still
well behind them.
We do a lot of comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah. And it doesn't work, but
we do our best for sure. Where was I think 3? 3. So 3 is Purdue, Fort Wayne. They are staying the same. All of our top 5 has stayed the same. I realized that I was continually I was repeating myself.
It's okay.
The last couple. At 2, we've got Indiana,
and
then 1 is Purdue, who we have, I think, talked about a few times. Will especially after this past week. Hold strong and run the table.
Indiana would have to like win out, and Purdue would have to like lose out for us to like really consider it.
Yeah.
Because, you could say like Indiana's better now, but Purdue still probably has a better resume because there's only like 9 more Big Ten games left.
Yep.
I don't know. That's not going to happen. Like there's no way that's going to happen. So it'll be all right. But those are our power rankings. I mean, Evansville jumping up, I think you could have made, and we talked about this kind of last time of like where to put Evansville last week. And, because they had a pretty good week last week and then they had a really good week this week. So we felt like, absolutely they deserve to be up there. We did consider, at least we did bring it up that they could move to the 5 spot. Again, apples to oranges.
Yeah.
At a certain point. So, you want to talk about Ball State, Jaren?
Yeah, go ahead and kick us off.
So they went down just a little bit in Torvik. They were at 260 leaving last week, and this week they're at 262. So they went down 2 spots. They had a 1-1 week, so all in all, kind of okay. 10-11 overall, 4-5 in the MAC. So they're so close. They're so close to getting above that 500 level. They lost at home to Western Michigan, 74-71. Kind of came as a shocker, but then they drop one at home. They make up for it on the road by winning at Buffalo 89-76. Buffalo, not a particularly good team, but road wins are good because, go 500 would be win all your games at home, lose all your road games. You win a road game. That makes up for losing a home game. So
yep,
kind of what Ball State did this week. So not too much shaken up there, but they did get a win. So they're in the win column. Win streak of 1.
Hey, that's
not all our somewhere. All our teams can say that.
Yeah.
Not all our teams can say that.
That's valid, and you got to start somewhere.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean the Western Michigan game, Ball State, they out rebounded by 7. It was 39-32. So did well on the glass. They just committed 5 more turnovers, and those turnovers resulted in a 16-8 differential on the points off turnovers. And 16 is 8 more than 8, and they lost by 3. So
you do the math. That
quite honestly, because I you know how I struggle with it, so you guys do it for me.
Yeah. In both the games, I think the one common theme, and even more than these last 2 games, I think for me is that Peyton Sparks is kind of like, I don't want to say emerging, maybe re-emerging as like the guy that we thought that he was going to be. Like,
yep.
We obviously thought he was going to take a step back at Indiana. Didn't think he was going to take that much of a step back, and then thought he was going to kind of reinsert himself where he left at Ball State. Seemed like there's a little bit of an adjustment period. Getting back into it, but he seems like he's fully back because he dropped 19 and then had 17 rebounds against Western Michigan. They followed that up with 27 points, a career high, and then 14 rebounds. So this is the Peyton Sparks that like I thought we were getting day one.
Yeah,
and it just like you would have liked to have had that day one, but better now than never.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better time to start to get hot like that.
Right.
In the heart of the conference season,
right? Because
big game coming up next week.
They just need to make 8th.
Yeah,
obviously getting higher than that makes their run through the tournament easier. But like, they've proven they can beat like a Kent State.
Yep.
So.
Also this week, our boy Jeremiah Hernandez, he made it to the league, the Puerto Rican league, to be specific. Got drafted on Tuesday night, or I guess it was afternoon for us, but got drafted middle of the week to go play in the top level of professional basketball in Puerto Rico, which is awesome for him on 2 fronts, right? Playing pro ball. I think that's every college kid's dream.
His basketball. I mean, that's how many kids dream, right?
Well, yeah.
Just a kid.
Yeah. And he's also has family ties to Puerto Rico. He is part Puerto Rican, so really cool for him to go back and be able to get close to some of his family that are there.
Yeah.
So
give people a reason to visit too.
Yeah.
Just in case they need an additional reason to go visit Puerto Rico. I mean, there's worse places to live than Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Not going to complain about living in Puerto Rico. And I think what was he? First pick in the second round. I think
he went
round.
13th overall. I think is what it factored in to be. So
I would be interested in seeing like a hierarchy of like all the pro leagues and just like where they rank, because it's like, hey, this guy went to Germany. And he's playing in the highest league in Germany. How does that relate or compare to the highest in Puerto Rico or Lithuania or Spain
or the United States?
Yeah,
that's
because it's like, is like Spain better than G League? Is Puerto Rico better than Lithuania or Japan?
Right,
I don't know.
I almost looked it up. I was curious to see like if there's any names of guys that we would know playing in the Puerto Rican League, and I just didn't get around to it.
It probably would have been like when we were driving in the car and being like, hey, remember this guy? And I was like, where's he at?
We did. So obviously everyone knows we didn't actually do it Tuesday or Wednesday when we went to Grace.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't that long. It
was 45 versus a 3-hour or 4-hour trip. Ab and I tend to we name dudes,
of course, every time,
pretty often. But we'll like pull a name out there like what are they doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are they up to? Or we'll look something up, like we learned about the White House security clearances, things like that. We just be expanding our knowledge on the world.
And like I feel like, we talk all the time. Like you and I talk all the time.
Yeah.
We text a lot,
and we can only talk about so much.
Right.
So we gotta.
And so like when you're in a car for 3 hours and then 3 hours back, like, sometimes you just want to listen to the music, but then sometimes you're just like, see something or someone says something, and you're like, what's the deal with that? And you're like, I don't know. And then I'm like, I got this.
Yeah.
Pull up my phone and start looking stuff up. It's better than me letting you sit there, drive, listen to music while I play a game on my phone.
That's true.
That
I became the designated driver.
Yeah.
Well, you've also only have one car presently.
Right. We've just been having to take your car.
Yeah, we've been taking my car, so I've been driving a lot, and
it's like, hey, I'll drive if you want me to drive, but like if I'm a passenger, I'll entertain you. Yeah, I keep you awake.
That is all I ask for.
I know my role. I know my role, and I play it well.
Co-pilot of the year.
Shotgun for our trip in a couple of months.
Yeah, well, that was a given.
All right, let's talk about Butler.
Butler. They moved up in Torvik, despite having 2 losses this week. They are 83rd, up from 88. Like I said, they lost both their games this week, bringing their overall record to 9-13, and they are 2-9 in the Big East, which makes me so sad. It makes me so sad. They lost to Marquette, 78-69. Then they lost at Georgetown, 73-70. My friend was calling the Georgetown game.
Connor?
Noah Reed was calling the game with Phil Martelli. So,
oh really?
Pretty nice ball knower to call a game with.
What was Martelli on staff last year at Michigan?
Yeah. Was it last year?
I don't remember if he saw the Juwan Howard thing to the end.
Because he was the associate, like the interim coach, I think early on in last season because Juwan Howard's heart issue.
His heart issues, yeah.
Yeah. So
I guess, yeah. I guess he was.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Martelli. I might be.
I remember that he called the game with, or that was the interim coach.
Both.
Okay, I know he was the interim coach. You're definitely right there. I didn't listen to this one, so I couldn't know.
Yeah, I can't remember, but it was most certainly my friend Noah.
I did see he was with Connor. I did see he ran into Connor. So
yes,
that's why I thought it was Connor. And Connor, Connor's the one I know. So that's always my first guess.
Noah Reed is a fellow Ball State alum.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it was Phil Martelli. I looked it up, and it was the suits and wait,
is coaches versus
sneakers
cancers.
Event.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think both of these games are disappointing in different ways, right? I think the Marquette game is disappointing because of how good the first half was.
Yeah.
The Marquette game, they lose at 87 or 78-69, but they're up 7 at half.
Yep.
And like they were hitting most of their shots. Like it was.
Well, they were 57% from the field in the first half.
Like it was,
and not that
almost as well as it could have gone at home, right?
Yeah.
And then the second half, not even close. Like they started 4 or 5 from 3 in the game, and then they only hit 2 more threes, and they shot 17 more. So like they went 2 for 17 after that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Butler has had slow starts. I thought that when they didn't have slow start, it was like, hey, like we did it. And then that didn't happen. The second half happened, and it was like just a complete letdown after that good first half. I mean, Shaka Smart's a good coach, but pretty rough. Like right out of halftime, it was just seemed like, yeah, they got it. Like they got them.
Yeah, I mean, I loved, Landon Moore started, got a second start of the season, played pretty well. Like obviously Marquette plays a little bit of a smaller game, so Butler went to a little bit smaller lineup to kind of combat that.
I was like, I don't think it's an accident he started both games against.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is I was going to ask you to guess which other game this season he started, with it being his second career. But yes, it was in fact Marquette. You beat me to it. You know more ball than me.
No, I just like when coaches do that.
Yeah.
Like I see it both ways. Like I totally see like having a set lineup to start, because like your starting lineup technically doesn't really matter. Like start whoever you want and then get the guys in, but like you can at least make a lineup that's responding to the other team's lineup to like give yourself a better chance to start better.
Yeah.
Which it seemed like maybe it did work.
Yeah.
At least there.
What didn't work was Butler's interior defense against Georgetown. They gave up 52 points in the paint of their 73. And I feel bad because I brought it up last week with UConn and Butler. I think UConn scored 50 of their points in the paint. I was like, oh yeah, we've talked about it. Butler has struggles inside.
Yeah.
And then I saw the 52 points transpire, and I was like, not fun to talk about twice in a twice in 2 weeks.
And this is where you miss Gusto, right? I mean, he came on really strong, like kind of. Yeah. I mean, for me by surprise, like I didn't know what to expect. Him coming in, like earning that starting role, playing the 5, and then being smaller, but like playing really well down there. And then he's out. You're still down Kaiser, like he's out all season, so you are down another body there, but specifically down low. Yeah, like that I think is showing itself. Like when you get beat by a team that only goes 2 for 17 from 3, like that's a beatdown.
Yeah,
like you can like say if you lose by a team that shoots 70% from 3, you're like, okay, it was fluky. Like they just were hitting everything. Like when they just beat you inside, it just hurts more.
It do be hurting.
But
it do be hurting.
So disappointing. I mean, Georgetown also is not very good. But I mean, right now, I mean, it's Butler and DePaul, right? Like that's the bottom of the Big East right
Holding
now,
it down.
Unfortunately.
Quite literally down.
Yeah. But let's go on a positive note here.
Yes.
Let's move down south to Evansville. Evansville had a really good week. They followed up their good week last week with a better week this week. So they went up in Torvik from 264 to 245, 2-0 this week. That brings them to 9-14 overall and 6-6 in the Valley. So they won at home against Murray State 78-74, sorry. And then they won at Belmont 80-75. And we were at the first Belmont game.
Yes.
In the Ford Center, and they should have had that one. So this should have been completing the sweep against Belmont. Is what it should have been. And they were mad. Seeming like Pizzato was. If Pizzato had been back like a game before the Belmont game in the Ford Center, they would have won.
Yeah, I think so.
They absolutely would have won.
I think so. But what they did win is a prestigious award, because our week 13 Hickory Team of the Week is Evansville. Like Adam said, they did go 2-0 this week. The best part about that is they were 2-point dogs to Murray State, beat them by 4. They were 12.5-point dogs to Belmont, beat them by 5.
That's crazy.
So incredible. Against Murray State, they had an explosive second half. So they scored 58 after only scoring 20 in the first half. I thought that it was just going to be like their Virginia type game, right, where they only score 40 points all game. Proved me wrong. Largely thanks to Pizzato, who had a career high 29, beating his previous high of 28. Comer also had a career high 27, beating his previous high of 26. So they were hooping. And it wasn't just for the Murray State game, because in the Belmont game, they were their leading scorers again. Pizzato and Comer had 22 and 19 respectively. So they were balling. They also they didn't quit, right? Belmont fought back several times. They tied the game on multiple occasions. The Aces said, haha, no. And they fought till the end and pulled it off.
Yeah, for sure. I do have some bad news, though. Looking at the limited sample size of 2 games, when we're in attendance, they're 0-1. When Bracket Busters is in attendance, they're 1-0 against the same team. So Bracket Busters was at that game. So they might be better luck than we are. We might just need to go to Evansville together, split up. We go to see Southern Indiana, they go to Evansville. Both teams come out with a win.
That's ideal circumstances.
You know, if I could be in two places at once. But, you know, they had just like Murray State is always a tough team. You know, I think Murray State lost to somebody really weird this week and they got like smoked. But like Murray State's always a tough out no matter what. And then what you were saying earlier about the Murray State game, like the first half, 20 points, and then, you know, 58 in the second half. Tale of two halves. We said it. Tale of two halves.
And Evansville is the epitome of that.
Yeah, dude. They do it the most often, but this time it worked out like positively.
Yeah. Well, I remember we were together. We weren't watching the game because we were at the Grace game, but I was like box score watching, and I was just like constantly like glancing over and, you know, having my phone.
You're like, guess the score. I was like, I don't know.
It was, I think in the first like 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, the first like 3 to 5 minutes of the second half, they had already had 13 points, which was almost their first half total. I was like, okay. And at that point we were driving. And then I think we just ended up seeing the final score during the drive or after we got home.
Yeah. But, some sucker out there took the live under at halftime.
Was it you?
No, not me. No, not me. But some sucker out there probably took the under at halftime. It was like, dude, the combined it's right now it's 45. The under's 90, 96. That's gonna hit 150, 152.
Yeah.
152. So I didn't get the chance to write like any notes on the Belmont game today specifically, but I watched all of the first half and then I watched most of the second half. All offense from both teams, just all offense, just nonstop. And it was just awesome to see. I feel like everyone's realizing like they can hit shots for this team. Like Pizzato, I don't know, maybe rubbed off on him a little bit and be like, dude, if you just pull up, like you'll hit it. And I feel like they are doing that. So my other note is they look so fly. The coaches look so cool. Like they had the white sleeve, purple body hoodies on. So clean every time.
Their Evansville does have some sick stuff. I just wish it was available to the public because I would own all of it.
Yeah,
I would own all of it.
We need to find a coach in our size, make them gain weight, so they don't fit it anymore. They'd be like,
or make them lose weight.
Season's over.
I'd say they could probably lose weight. That is an acceptable solution to the problem that we have.
How am I gonna make someone lose weight? Like I can send someone cookies. Like, I'll be like, here's a banana bread. You know, I can't be like, here's Ozempic. Like, hey, we're sending you a care package. Sending you a care package. It'll be here on Thursday. It's just needles of Ozempic.
That'd be actually really funny though. It'd kind of be messed up. Like, hey,
you'd be like, whoa, man! I'm just trying to get your hoodies.
or we send them a care package and it's cookies and Ozempic. And it's like a pick your poison. It's like you decide.
I can eat these cookies, but I won't gain weight. And you're like, no. This is either or.
It's a choose your own adventure. Yeah. You decide which path you take, and you choose one. The other one disappears.
Listen, you gotta have one, and you gotta give the other one to your wife. And I dare you to give your wife the Ozempic. I dare you. Good luck. Let's see how that works out for you.
That'd be pretty.
Mind games.
Be pretty funny. That'd be pretty good.
And then they cut off all ties and block our address.
Let's move on to Indiana.
Yeah.
They moved up a decent amount in Torvik. They're 59 up from 67. They did go 0-1 this week. They are one of two teams that only played one game. They are 14-8 overall, and they're a game below 500 in the Big Ten at 5-6. They lost at Purdue 81-76.
Yeah, I mean, if you're wondering why they went up, 8 spots.
Yeah.
It's because they were projected to lose by like 13 or something.
Yeah.
Like 12 and a
I
half.
think it was 12 and a half.
And I don't remember. I feel like whenever you see the rivalry game and you see a big line like that, unless it's Duke, North Carolina, yes, Saturday, you feel like it's either going to be a blowout, like it just will be a blowout, or it's a rivalry game and it will be extremely close and the underdog will probably win. And that almost happened. Indiana really almost won this game. Like they led for, almost all of it, right? I don't have the actual number.
They led by quite a bit of the game.
Like they got out, they led for like, I feel like most of what would be the second quarter.
Yeah.
And came out in the third quarter, so to speak, and played really well. This game did come down to the wire.
Quite literally.
Yeah. On the Indiana side, I feel like it was fueled by Mackenzie Mbako early, and then by Luke Goody, and then like in the end, it was like fueled by Trey Galloway.
Well, they had like Mackenzie Mbako and Goody had 21 of their 23 points they scored, something crazy like that. So definitely felt their impact.
Yeah, and I think Mbako was a part of the sweep, getting swept last year, and I think he was hungry. And then Luke Goody, been an Indiana fan his whole life, like he gets the rivalry. He's played Purdue as when he was at Illinois, he played his rival Purdue, so he knew what it meant to play your rival Purdue. But clearly knew what it meant, and like I feel like this has to be the first game where they've outshot the opponent from 3. If it's not, it is at worst their second time they've ever done it. They've done it this season.
Yeah.
So they went 7 for
really
19
curious.
from 3, which is like really, really good for Indiana. And then Purdue is just 2 of 13 from 3. So pretty good 3-point defense. And I feel like their game plan for the most part was like play drop coverage on the pick and roll. Just like don't let Braden Smith get an assist on there, and he'll get his points. Just don't let him get his assists, because if he's dishing it out to, Trey Kaufman-Renn on the roll, or if he's dishing it, cross court to Fletcher Lawyer, like they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
And they kind of sold out for that, and I didn't mind it.
Are we? So when we say outshot from 3, are we talking percentage or volume?
This is probably the first time they've done it by volume.
Okay. And I went back to look at the rest of their games this season. And it was they've done it a couple times. Not many, but a couple. I think 5, a handful, maybe. In both volume and the Rutgers game. 4 for 27 from versus 6 for 21. But they did it against South Carolina as well.
I feel like this one's just super notable because like Purdue, if they're open, will take a lot of threes.
Yeah.
Because they can make them. Like they will take as many as they can make, basically. And that didn't happen in this one. Their scout was pretty good. Galloway, unrecognizable.
Yeah, he checked in with his haircut
and no headband.
And if you couldn't see the number, I could have swore it was Leo.
I thought it was. I was sitting far away from the TV and I was like, "Is that like Hatton? Is that him?" Like,
well, he also kind of looked like Hatton too, just smaller.
Yeah, it's like very confused.
There were a couple times I was like, when I couldn't see the number, I was like, "Why is Hatton playing garden on the perimeter?" Yeah,
it messed with the mind for sure.
Yeah, but hey, maybe that was the juice that he needed. He just needed a fresh cut.
True.
It was a breath of fresh air. Fans were actually. Well, obviously fans were angry, but there were some fans who were actually saying that like they were disappointed in the loss. Yes.
Yeah.
But they also were optimistic and like they applauded the team's effort. And that to me was a breath of fresh air from the normal.
It wasn't all just like, get him out of here.
Yeah. But I also noted Mike Woodson is 3-4. In his coaching career for Indiana against Purdue.
He can get to 4-4 with the return trip.
Yeah.
So, talk like the Indiana fans were up in arms about like the end of the game with Rice going down, they had a timeout in their pocket. Woodson in the post game said that he was trying to get Rice's attention to call a timeout when he was going down, but he couldn't. He couldn't get his attention, and they didn't get to call the timeout. And Rice went up, got fouled, didn't get a call, and then Purdue comes down, and I think that's when Trakoff and Wren hit the go ahead
left hook. Yeah,
and then so like that stinks because I think I texted you. I was like, that ball should have been in Trey Galloway's hands.
Yeah,
like I get like
Matt Painter agreed. By the way,
yeah, I know, right? Like I feel like Rice in a. If you tell me, like, if you don't tell me anything else about the game, I would be like, yeah, it should definitely be Miles Rice. Just take it to the hole.
Yep.
He can beat everyone down there. But he hadn't hit a shot. He had 0 points. Like, Trey Galloway was hot at that moment. Like, it should have been his. He can get downhill very well. Should have been in his hands. I think if it had been in his hands, it might turn out a little bit differently. It might not. Who knows? But
yeah,
probably have a little bit of a better chance. So. Disappointing, but yes, I will agree with you. I think it was nice to see positive engagement on the internet about like this team is fighting. We're seeing what this team can be, and
I mean they looked like a Sweet 16 team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean they played well offensively. They competed with what will be a top 8, 7, 6, 5 team.
Yeah,
with Purdue since so many teams lost.
Yeah,
and they made Purdue win a different way.
Yeah.
So that's what we like to see. I just want to see momentum carry forward.
Yes. I also want to see this with Indiana State because they've got a decent amount of momentum right now.
Mm-hmm.
They moved up several spots in Torbeck. They are 229 from 241. They did go 2-0 this week. They're 11-12 overall and 5-7 in the Valley. They had a win over Missouri State, 72-67. Then a win at UIC, that is Illinois Chicago, 88-83. Took a gut punch in the first half of the Missouri State game.
I was scared. I was
this
scared.
game we were also following
at the same time.
At the same time as being at the Grace game. But they played out of their minds in the second half.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never want to play a team that hasn't won or hasn't won in conference or is on a really long losing streak. You never want to play that team. Like last year in the Horizon League, you did not want to play Detroit Mercy. It's like, Detroit Mercy is horrible. They're terrible. But you do not want to play them because
you don't want to be the team that they got their first win against.
It puts more like it, the other team is going out there hungry or giving up regardless.
Yeah.
But your team is like, there's an added pressure of like, oh my God, we cannot lose this game.
Yeah.
Like we cannot be their first win. And Indiana State did not let that happen to them against Missouri State. Missouri State ended up winning their next game. And I don't remember who it was to. It's not really relevant for our show at this moment, but like it wasn't Indiana State. And that's what matters. They were 0-10 in the Missouri Valley. Indiana State was on a 6-game losing streak. And Indiana State didn't buckle. Had me in the first half, I'm not gonna lie. but they did not buckle. Being down 10.5, I was like, please no.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't happen. So that's the biggest takeaway there for me.
Yeah, I remember looking over at you and being like, guess what the score is? And it was just completely opposite of what we'd want to see.
Why is Jaren asking me what the score is? It's either they're smoking them or they're losing to Missouri State. That shouldn't be. It was that one.
Yeah. And the USC game, really good as well. They had a great first half. I think they had 52 points, something like that, of their 88. So they're kind of polarizing halves. They like carried their second half from Missouri State Murray State. No, Missouri. Sorry, we'll talk about Murray State later. Carried over their
we already talked about Missouri State or Murray State too. With Evansville.
That's true. Maybe that's why.
Why do they all play? Why do they all play the same teams?
Dang it! But they carried that momentum from the second half of the Missouri State game into the first half of the USC game, which you love to see. Dudes balled out.
Camp Wagner. 22
Camp
career high.
Swagner, bro.
You're right. Dang, dude. I tried to coin that, and I didn't even do it myself.
I set you up perfectly for that, and you fumbled.
Career high, 22
it's almost like when you pass the ball on the 3-yard line instead of running it up the gut.
Yeah, you give up a wide open layup to pass it out for the 3, and they brick it.
Yeah. Did you get that football reference though?
No. Is that the Marshawn Lynch?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That okay. That's like generationally bad. Like mine was not generationally. Mine was like you have a wide open layup and you pass it for a missed 3. Mine was not Marshawn Lynch. Close.
Aaron Gray, surprising stat. Only his second double-double of the season. It's just always weird. Like, you feel like
he's
a guy that's just a grit guy down low. That,
there are guys that you're like, how have you not?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's like hearing about like an Eric Mulder like double. You're like, dude, how? I swear you get 30 rebounds a game. It's like, that's the points part for him,
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was only the third time this season he's gotten more than 10 or more rebounds, which I thought was odd. But I mean, we've got Daughtry, who's been
right
on fire, so diminished minutes a little bit maybe. But either way, Cam Swagner and Aaron Gray had great games.
One thing I have about this game is kind of a two-parter. I hate when teams are the home team and they wear dark. When they wear dark colors. Purdue did it.
Yeah.
Against Indiana, they wore their blacks, and IU wore reds. So you had two teams wearing their aways. But UIC was wearing like a light blue, like Chicago flag jersey, which is cool.
Yeah.
But then Indiana State, like they can't wear they can't wear the powder blues. So then they're wearing their whites. They're wearing their home whites. I don't like it. It messes with my mind. Maybe I'm stupid and it just doesn't equate. But like I expect to see, like, this isn't football. I should see the home team wearing their light colors and the away team wearing their darks. So that was my last note on there. It just bothers me every time I see it. Like Duke wears black at home. Some used to wear black at home sometimes. I'm like, it's not even your color. That's not even your color, first of all. Come on.
Let's move on to IU Indy.
Yeah.
They moved down in Torvik. They're 316 from 303. They did go 1-1 this week. They went 1-1 this week. They are 8-16 overall and 4-9 in the Horizon League. They lost at Robert Morris by a lot. Do I have to say this? Do I have to say the score?
Yeah, just rip off
the Band-Aid.
Just go, and then immediately after the last word, go right into the next game. Don't even pause.
They lost 106-53, but then won at Youngstown State. The Penguins 84-79. You have anything from that? Any like notable things from the Robert Morris game?
No. Okay. I just don't even want to talk about it.
Cool, because all I had was a frowny face in my notes.
They beat Detroit Mercy pretty bad, and then this game happened. They got doubled up. Moving on. Youngstown State, they went back to Casaro's old stomping grounds.
Yeah,
Not literally because he was on the turf, but same school. He got to see his old school.
Yep. Yeah, and in my opinion, them going back there was 0% chance they lost this game.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that added chip on your shoulder of like first time back coaching against you, even if it's a different sport.
Right.
Like they were gonna win from the tip.
He could probably crank out a pretty quick 40 still. He looks like he's in very good shape.
True.
What's his 40 time right now? He gets to stretch. He gets to warm up. What do you think his 40 time is?
Faster than both of ours.
Okay, duh. 4-8. I
was gonna say 4-9.
Okay. All right.
Which is impressive as hell.
Coach Casaro, what's your 40 time? What's your 40 time right now? You got a 1-year-old kid at home. You all right? You look like you're in pretty good shape. You can
Keeps you on your toes.
4.9. Exactly. You gotta chase it. You gotta chase the kid around. Deshaun Good was very good in this game.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, 23 points, very good. 10 of 13 shooting, and then 3 of 3 from 3. So he doesn't miss.
And what also didn't miss was their free throws at the end of the game. Final like 75 seconds. They were 9 of 10. So I guess they did miss, but they
I didn't see that one.
They were 9 of 10 with 75 seconds left. Or in the final 75 seconds. And that sealed the win for them, which was actually only their third ever win over Youngstown State in 25 medians.
Mm-hmm.
So
they've got like a really good offense, and that was on display. 11 of 23 from 3. We know that they can light it up, but they got out rebounded, but they only gave up 4 3-pointers, and they Youngstown State shot 27. So like this is probably the biggest bounce back game I've ever seen, because this game was never really in doubt. Like IU Indy was in control for basically 40 minutes. Like they, tip to buzzer, controlled this game, and you never really felt like, because like with a road game like this, you feel like, oh, like the home team's going to come back. Like when are they going to make their move? But like it just never happened. So it was never really in doubt for them, and that's what was kind of so impressive about this for me.
Yep.
But let's talk about the Irish. So they went down 1 spot in Torvik from 84 to 85. They had a week, okay, 1-1. They're 10-11 overall and 4-6 in the ACC. So their win came at home over Georgia Tech, 71-68, and then their loss, in my mind, is a pretty bad loss. Was at Miami, 63-57. In that Miami loss, like, I don't know if this is on paper their worst loss of the year, but it feels like it.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like it. I mean, Miami hadn't won an ACC game until this one. This is their first win. So again, you don't want to play the team that's 0-10.
Yeah.
Indiana State handled it. Notre Dame could not.
No. The Georgia Tech game though, it was a dogfight. Double-digit threes. So they shot the lights out of the ball, which is cool.
Yep.
But also, like, the third time in the last 5 games they've done that. I didn't realize this, though. They're leading the ACC in conference play in 3-point shooting.
Nice. Good.
In terms of percentage. So that's
notable.
What you want to see from, especially from this team. Zurgate, Keba, and Jai didn't have a, super notable game, except the layup he made towards the end that pretty much sealed the game.
It.
Yeah. 30 seconds left. Put it up, got it. And then also led on the defensive end with or I guess not necessarily defensive end, but 9 boards. So yeah, a quiet 6-9.
I don't even know who the Miami coach is.
Well, because Larinaga stepped down middle of the season.
Yeah, after they were, I don't know. Do you think he feels like okay that like they've only won 1 ACC game since then? I don't know. I don't know who the interim is, but
yeah, I don't know.
It hurts. I mean, they were up 11 at halftime and lost the second half 38-21.
Yeah.
They just kept coming. Like it was a 6-0 Miami run, a 7-0 Miami run, a 9-0 run, all in the second half. And that was it. Like they just couldn't stop them, which really stinks. Bad loss for the Irish.
Yes.
That's all I got.
Me too. So Purdue Fort Wayne is next. They moved down in Torvik. They're 155 from 154. They went 1-1 this week. They're 16-8 overall, 9-4 in the Horizon League. They had an upsetting loss to Cleveland State, 68-58. And then they beat Milwaukee at Milwaukee, 81-79. I wish I knew the attendance. I didn't get to watch the Cleveland State game.
2,600 something, I think. Like I think the number that jumps in my head is 2,632.
That's great.
So I will try and find that, but that's what it's around there, I think.
That is what I feel is not close to their normal when they play at the Coliseum, unfortunately. But it was a ESPNU game, so naturally people are going to show out. And then it was also I think they did this on purpose, but it was you're in 12th grade or younger, you get into the game for free.
Yep.
So they're just trying to get the house packed, and I just wish that they would have got the win in front of all those fans because
it was like shaping up to be the game that they win, right? Like they have so many people there.
Mm-hmm.
That one was baffling to me because this is gonna sound weird. I don't feel like Cleveland State beat them because Cleveland State didn't make them miss threes.
Mm-hmm.
They had so many open threes. They just were not falling. Like it was not even like Cleveland State made them shoot horribly. They just shot horribly because they just had a bad shooting night. And that's what made them lose by 10. It was closer than that. You know, there was like some free throws at the end, trying to close it down, but like they did not like there's nothing about this game that makes me think they can't go beat Cleveland State in the return game or in the tournament.
I agree.
They just shot horribly. They will not shoot like this again.
I would not expect it at all. Dude, they're shooting like Indiana.
2,603 close. Is that what I said? What did I say?
I don't remember.
It might be what I said.
I don't remember. You said 2,500 or 2,600, something like
20,
that.
I got the first two right. Yeah. So 2,603 people were there.
Good. I'm at least glad that there were fans there.
Yeah.
Because
it was a 9 p.m. game, like this late.
Yeah. It's so disappointing that they don't have that many fans at all their home games.
Because they are good and they deserve it. Like they have a great program and a great team.
Exactly.
Milwaukee, again, I didn't have time to write notes for this, but I was watching most of this one in between the Evansville game. End of the game, they was kind of where my thing was, like my notes were, they just weren't bothered by Milwaukee like fouling or like hitting shots down on the other end. They weren't bothered by it. Like there was one point with like less than a minute left. There were like 15 to 20 seconds left on the shot clock, and Rasheed Bello pulled up for like a wide open three, yes, but he missed it. I was like, you probably should have waited longer, like on the shot clock. He comes down, he gets a block on the other end. So it's like, okay.
It was a great block. He just went straight up, got the block. And then I believe Mulder like got the I guess it's considered a rebound, kind of.
Yeah.
But he got it, hit his free throws, sealed the game with 5 seconds left.
And he hasn't shot many free throws.
No, it put him up. It put him up by 5 to help seal the game.
Right, but I mean they weren't coming. You know, they weren't going to cut it close enough.
Yeah, I mean I'm okay with Bello missing that 3 because it didn't impact the game.
Yeah,
because a couple minutes earlier he hit that step back 3,
like 3 minutes left.
That broke the tie that Milwaukee, did. Milwaukee tied the game.
Yeah,
and they hadn't been close since like the 12-minute mark, so they went 8 minutes of. And
I was nitpicking. I mean, I just felt like giving Milwaukee like take a little bit more time on the shot clock and then pull up, but it ended up not mattering. You're right.
Yep. Purdue, they stayed at 9 in Torvik. They went 1-0 this week. I almost said 1-1. They went 1-0 this week, 17-5 overall. They are 9-2 in the Big Ten. That win came at the aforementioned Indiana, 81-76. Won 16 of their last 20 against Indiana.
That's crazy because
Mike Woodson has 3 of those. That's a stat for the Indiana fans out there.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, man, those 8 Archie losses or however many they were, those are brutal.
Yeah,
those were brutal. Braden Smith was incredible, and Trey Kaufman-Renn was the Robin to Braden Smith's Batman. Like you saw it last year with Braden being the Robin and Edie being the Batman. Trey Kaufman-Renn, they just flip the roles, and it's.
At this point, would Braden be Nighthawk because he took that step up, or Nightwing?
I don't think Nightwing messes with Batman though. Isn't that the thing? Like he doesn't like Batman.
Yeah, but like he wasn't Nightwing. Nightwing was Robin at one point,
Right.
and he evolved to
Okay.
Nightwing.
So then
to
Trey
kind of be his
Kaufman
own.
Ren would have to be.
It'd still kind of be Robin, right? Because I think Nightwing and Robin, because there was both.
Dude, you had me with the
Nightwing.
You had me with the Nightwing thing. I was like there, and then like I needed to add in a little bit more, and that's where my knowledge ends.
Yeah.
But yes, I like it. I
right?
I like it
because Robin doesn't become Batman ever,
right?
and like he becomes his own standalone badass, Nightwing. That's what Braden is. You know,
he grew the beard. You know, he changed. He leveled
exactly.
up.
He went from red to blue, but from no facial hair to a beard.
There we go. Hey, he had the goatee.
Yeah, that's true. There are parallels. There are parallels here.
We like almost did something. Almost did something.
We're Marvel guys, not so much DC.
Yeah. But Smith had 24. He had 24 points, 7 assists, 7 steals. And Trey Kaufman had 23 points, and he only missed 3 shots all night. Forced a bunch of turnovers in the first half, and 20 overall, which is a ton. And then turned that into 26 points for the Boilermakers. They were I felt like watching the game, like you could tell that they were just very efficient on those turnovers and turned those into a lot of points. And
so they were 26 to 15 in points off turnovers against Indiana. Purdue is 85 and 28 over their last 3 games in points off turnovers.
That's a lot.
So and 15 of those were Indiana.
Yeah.
Like
so
you saying that they're really
cooking.
effective lately. Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Because they can kill you in a multitude of ways in transition, because they've got dang near anybody I don't know what it is, but like people like CJ Cox or like Jakari Harris will just be like, transition 3, best kind of 3. You're like, what? full sprint into a like catch and shoot 3, knockdown every time. Okay,
they got the juice, I guess.
Yeah.
This one's for the Purdue fans though. This win moved Purdue up to 9th in the NCAA's all-time, or excuse me, 10th in the NCAA's all-time wins list.
Yeah.
They moved past Indiana. They were tied at 1,945, and now Purdue has 1,946. So, another notch in the belt for Purdue. Give you an update on the senior class records too.
I do like this. I like this every week. Needs to come every week.
First being Caleb First being the senior. His class now has the second most wins by a senior class in school history, 109. And I didn't write down the losses because
those don't matter.
Do you remember what the number is
that they need to get to?
Yeah, I told you last week or 2 weeks ago.
It's close. It's like 1 or 2 games, isn't it? 3?
110.
110.
110's the number.
So they need to get 2 more wins.
2 more wins to pass. To put it in perspective,
I can't imagine that. That'll be tough to do.
Right. To put it in perspective, Braden and Lawyer, being the junior class, obviously there are other juniors as well, but those two,
they're
they're
the Batman and the Robin.
They're sitting at 80 wins as a class. So
they
30 win difference. They have to get 30 wins in the next. Well,
here's the thing. So like
you have to get
let's say Purdue has 11 games left, guaranteed, right?
Yep.
Or 12 because they're going to make the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess there will just be a 30 game difference. So they will have to win 30 games.
Well, no, it's a 29 game difference right now.
Okay.
So they'll have to win 30 games next season to surpass Caleb First's senior class.
It's a lot of games.
That is a lot of games.
That's a lot of games.
And it's not like it's not doable.
I think
I just think
doable.
Right.
It's just that is just a lot of games.
Yeah. And it just,
because when you think about it, like
the hard part is that like first number is going to keep growing.
Yeah. But I mean,
Obviously, theirs will be, but
the
like the gap won't close
Yeah.
as a result.
So like, when you think about it, Braden will be back. Fletcher will be back.
Braden could get drafted, dog. After this season, he's having.
You're true. You're right. You're right.
I think he comes back.
Yeah. See though,
dog, he doesn't need that. He doesn't need that rookie deal. He's got all the NIL in the world.
He doesn't need it, but like, okay, did he even go to the combine the last 2 years? I don't think so. So like, let's say he goes, maybe it's like a 50-50 situation. You know, like maybe somebody falls in love with him. Like, yeah, he goes, because I don't see any reason why he can't be
a Chris Paul,
Jalen Brunson, you know, like a Jalen Brunson type who's like, he's good in college. Yeah. Where it ends, it's like, yeah, but like, he could be Ayo Dosunmu. He could be Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
Like, they said Edie couldn't play in the NBA. He's doing all right.
He's balling.
So that's a lot of games. That's a lot of games.
They had 32 wins last season.
Something like that. I mean, they're at what, 17?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to see them get to 30 this year. If Braden comes back, it's 100% doable. Unless, I don't know. You see how Paint's scheduling these non-conference games.
That's true.
It's going to be close. That's
true. Well, they had.
They'll be at worst top 2, obviously.
Yeah,
because they're at 80, and the number's 110. They only need to win 30 games from now to get to top 2, behind first class.
Yeah.
So they'll be top 2. That'll be interesting. That'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on next year. You'll have another thing to update us on every week with Purdue.
I mean, they had 29 wins 2 years ago with a first round loss. And then they
won the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah. And then they had 34 wins last season, obviously playing in the national championship.
It's just 30 is so many.
That's a lot of games.
That means that, you know, you only play 31 plus at least one game in the tournament, plus at least one game in the conference tournament. So you're guaranteed 33 games if you're vying for a 30-win season.
Right. They had 29 wins in their Sweet 16 year in 22. They're close. 29 is the number, right? 29 is technically the number to tie.
That's really tough.
And then obviously in 2021 they were 18 and 10. So that was a down year.
I gotta find a way to put this into short form to get people's opinion on this, because I need to know. Like,
that's a lot of games.
That is a lot of games. And I think, you know what? Non-Purdue fans will say no question. They always do. And Purdue just the train keeps chugging along, man.
Okay, let's move on to Southern Indiana, because I don't want to rush as much through these.
Yeah, for sure.
I always feel like we get to this point and we're like
Purdue, Southern Indiana, Valpo.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, when it's 2 losses, I want to rush more.
It's two losses.
Yeah.
Southern Indiana, they stayed the same in Torvik. They're 325. They did go 0-2 this week, so they're 9-13 overall, 4-8 in the Ohio Valley Conference. They lost at Morehead State, 66-65. To be clear, I'm not laughing at the loss. You can probably make the connection of why I laughed. And then they lost against Tennessee Tech, 78-65. They got so close in this Morehead State game. It was like
99% of the way there.
4 different occasions. It was like 1-point games. 60-59, 62-61, 64-63, 66-65. It was just like they just couldn't get over the hump. And
you remember those B-dubs commercials where they like have the overtime button?
Yeah,
that's what this felt like.
Yep,
but not overtime. Just like a Morehead State win button. It was like, oh, they're gonna get it. Lid on the basket.
Yep.
Lid on the basket. Oh, the turnover, whatever.
And this would have been such a massive win because Morehead State's sitting at the top of the conference. We thought Southern Indiana, and we still do, like, Southern Indiana can compete with the best teams in their conference. They just have all of these close losses.
I would argue that they have more talent probably than most of the OVC teams.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of the OVC teams are like they're like running into a machine, dude. They're just like, Morehead State, they have a new coach this year, but it's just like Drake has a new coach, but it's like you just run into the machine of this thing that's just been running for a long time. And I feel like that's what it's like. It's like this raw talent versus like, it's like what playing like Hickory would feel like, it's like this thing that like you know exactly what they're gonna do, and they're not gonna make mistakes, and that's kind of what it is, like the fundamental ish. You just never know what Southern Indiana is gonna give you, but like you're running into a buzzsaw on the other end.
Yeah, and it was, the Tennessee Tech. Wow, there's so many Tennessee teams in this conference: Tennessee Martin, Tennessee State, Tennessee Tech.
The two teams that I think mess me up the most are not even in the same conference, but it's UNI, Northern Iowa, and NIU,
Northern
Illinois, because which UNI is Iowa, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But Northern Illinois is in the MAC.
Yes.
And Northern Iowa is in the Missouri Valley.
Yes.
And that's what messes me up. All the Tennessee teams, OVC. I mean, yeah, I get it. That's the OVC.
Well, yeah.
But it's like Tennessee State, Tennessee Tech, Tennessee Martin. And there's a lot of Tennessee. Like, you can't just do a Tennessee trip. God forbid you have 3 road games in a row.
Yeah.
But
Southern Indiana in this game, they went on a 15-5 run, like halfway through the second half, give or take. I was like, okay, let's keep it going. Gave up an 8-0 run. Ended up being like a 12-2 run. It's just like, oh, this is sad.
Dude, here's a stat for you in the Tennessee Tech game. 67 shot attempts. Damani Harrison, Jalen Randall, and Stephen Olawani, 55 of them. They took 55. Milky, 2. Missed them both. Camp, 4 or 5 of 7. So they took, Milky and Camp took 9. I feel
like we have to say Campion because there's also Camp Swagner.
Sure.
Camp.
Campion took 7.
Okay.
Milky took 2. So they took 9. I think like Dunham took 1 or something. There were like 2 other random. I was like, and I think Cody took a couple.
Yeah.
55 of the 67 is crazy. And I know they're like, for lack of a better term, the big 3 at the school.
Yeah.
Obviously Jack Milky is huge for this team, and Campion and Cody being the, sharing the duties of the one are very important too. But like they kind of are the big 3 for all intents and purposes. So like that's a lot of shots that they get normally, but that is a lot of shots for those 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that high of a discrepancy.
I mean, they lost by what, 12, 13?
Yeah.
Monty Harrison was good. I feel like they lost the Morehead State game because Olawani's foul trouble. They were down 9. He had a bunch of 4 fouls, didn't end up fouling out, but thanks, man. They've got the raw talent. They've got the desire. They just need to get there.
Yep.
Need to get there.
Valpo, our last school. Adam, do you want to do the honors?
Yeah, they went up in Torvik from 240 to 233. They are 0-2 this week, and that brings them to 10-13 on the season and 3-9 in the Missouri Valley. So they lost to Southern Illinois 79-75, and they lost at Illinois State 86-78, which, now that I'm thinking about it, the Missouri Valley has ISU, SIU. All these teams, man. All these teams. Against Southern Illinois, they like took care of the ball, but good Lord, dude. Grabbing a rebound was like trying to find a needle in a haystack, man. they got out rebounded 40-27.
Yeah. Like when you see Swigger's stat line that he was 13-5.
Yeah.
That's
like he can get a double most nights.
Well, he's had 13
5.
straight games scoring 12 or more points.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, he can get a double anytime. But then didn't. He had 3 blocks though.
There we go. They were up in this one. Like they were up by 8 with 4 minutes left, and then SIU went on a 13-3 run over the next 3.5 minutes, and then the garbage time fouling happened, and another game where you don't let them shoot the 3 ball well and you still lose, and that's what feels like a real hurter. Because you can't even blame it on fluke or like lack of defensive rotation. They just pounded it inside and beat you.
Reminds me of Butler.
Exactly. That's exactly what it felt like.
Swigger did better on the boards slightly against Illinois State, though. I guess, and I use Swigger, I guess, in the Holland Company.
Are you talking about the Twin Towers?
Yeah. Yeah, the Twin Towers.
You know, if that gets nixed, the 2 towers. We'll go Lord of the Rings with it. But they are twins, so like
right. But Cooper had 14 points, and that's 14th straight game with 12 or more. And then I believe he had 8 boards. Closer. Carson had or no, am I getting? Carson had 10
boards, 9 points.
Cooper had 7 boards, but a combined 23 points, 17 boards.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about Carson getting in there is that he played 20 minutes. Cooper played 37. He played 37, so they played a decent amount of time together. He, in the last 8 games, he's played 45 seconds throughout the last 8 games.
Like 45 seconds in each game?
Combined.
Okay.
Combined. And he played 21 minutes in this one. His 10 rebounds doubled his season total. Because he had 11 total. And 9 points is a career best for him because he redshirted last year. I will say that, like, you know, every time I get down about a Valpo loss, I just remember that, like, all right, freshman, Uyghur, sophomore.
All right, had 42 points this week.
Yeah, dude. If he stays, Valpo is going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Because Uyghur will be a junior. Other Schwieger will be a redshirt sophomore. Sepp will be a junior. I think Shaw will be a junior. So or like a red shirt. So he should have 2 more years. They can run it back with everyone but Schmidt, basically, unless that JUCO thing gets passed.
Yeah.
Which would be nasty.
Yeah. And I think the bright spot with Valpo is, especially with them being so young, like you just said, they don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Hardly ever. I think they've had, I guess, usually you're in double-digit turnovers. That is, I think, just a normal thing, unless you've got, unless you're a Duke type team. But
or you're come on, dude. Unless you're PFW, they're like
true.
They're like top 10.
It's the 14th time this season that they've turned the ball over 10 or fewer times. And doing that with such a young group, I think, is what's most impressive to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Over half their games have been less than 10 turnovers, which is just great. Like, because we talked about it earlier, points off turnovers, Purdue, for example.
Yeah.
Like, those are going to cost you games. If you're not turning the ball over, you don't have that stat.
Right. I mean, you're literally just not giving them, I mean, depending on the team, like, you're not giving them the very worst, a good opportunity at a point.
Right.
To guaranteed points.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's, to me, one of the bright spots, especially in this week, in addition to Wright having 22 and then 20.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely, like, he's trying to build something there. and I think it's working. It makes me positive when I think about like, okay, I would like to be better than 3-9, but he's trying to really build something, and if they give him the time, I think that it can definitely happen, especially if like Allright stays. I think because Schwieger stayed, I imagine he'll stay again. So if they can continue that, they're going to be really good.
I hate this world we live in where it's always like,
oh, are they just
mid-major? Like, are they going to come back?
Because you're like looking at Allright and Schwieger, and you're like, Schwieger has had some games where he struggled, and so is Allright. But Allright, you give Allright the pass as a freshman, but it's like,
yeah,
Allright, like somebody would love to have him as like a backup point guard.
Yeah.
But if you're Allright, you have to weigh that as like, I was given the keys 7 games in. Like I proved myself. I was given the keys. I can just keep running with it, and I can keep the machine going. And I like love NIL. Love it for the players. Hate it for this aspect of it, where it's like I have to think of
there's so much speculation.
Will they be back? Just thinking about literally any player. There are people who are like Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, they're not going anywhere. Like, all right,
well, Braden could go to the NBA, but like that's like a little bit of a different conversation.
They're not taking NIL. They're not taking like a $2 million NIL deal to go to Kansas State. Like that's just not what they're gonna do.
Shots fired at Coleman Hawkins. Jeez.
Hey man, he had a good week.
It's about time.
No kidding, dude. No kidding.
All right. Was there anything else on Valpo?
No, but no. Let's move on.
Okay. So speaking of Coleman Hawkins, who had a good week, there is one player every week that we pick that we think had the best week or was the most important. So who is your week 13 Jimmy Chitwood player of the?
Yeah, who had the best week in Indiana? Nobody had a better week than Braden Smith from Purdue. He led Purdue to a win over IU, and they kind of took away his ability to dish the ball in the start of the game, so he took over as a scorer. He had 24 points, 7 assists, 6 steals, and here's the crazy thing, dude. He's the first player this century to record 150 points, over 80 assists, over 25 steals in a calendar month in this century. So Braden Smith, just absolutely incredible against Indiana in their win, and Big Ten Player of the Year, first team All-American. Absolutely, like he has to be, one of those people you're talking about, like a unanimous pick. Absolutely should be on the list. If you don't have him on there as like the starting point guard of either of those things, just give your vote away. Like give it away. So
just like the guy who didn't vote for Ichiro to be in the Hall of Fame should give his vote away.
That one's lost on me.
Baseball. Ichiro Suzuki, a phenomenal player, phenomenal career.
There was a baseball player who died this year, right? Or last year, 2024. And he got in trouble for gambling.
Pete Rose?
Pete Rose. He's not in the Hall of Fame.
Correct.
Because of his gambling stuff.
Correct.
That's ridiculous to me.
Correct.
That's ridiculous to me. I feel like unless you like, especially like something that is legal now.
That's been the long going debate.
Which is ridiculous.
For a long time.
If he killed somebody, sure, keep him out. But I'm generally very like, if your career is Hall of Fame worthy, you should be in the Hall of Fame. Hey, if I know you and I know you were really, really good, probably be in the Hall of Fame.
The conversation with like Reggie Bush and his Heisman.
Yeah.
Got it taken away, and it was like for the longest time, like, give it back.
Yeah, it's like NIL came out and it's like, you should probably get his back.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah, Ichiro. Still made the Hall of Fame.
That's good.
I don't remember if it was his first ballot or not.
But he wasn't unanimous.
But it was not unanimous. There was one schmuck who didn't vote for him.
I would not like to be that guy.
No one. I don't know if anyone like knows who it is. Well, obviously, I'm sure some people know who it is, but like I don't think it's been publicized.
Just quietly doesn't get a vote next year.
But like, it is just the baseball world was up in arms.
Yeah,
they're like,
as they should be.
This guy, like get out the
pitchforks.
It's the equivalent of the IU fan base against Mike Woodson.
Yeah,
let me put it in terms that you might get. It is that equivalent, but to the baseball.
So it's like world. when Zach Osterman voted Trace Big Ten Player of the Year over Zach Edey. Although he at least had some case. Be like,
Trace had a case, yes.
Yeah, he had a case. It was like, if you're looking at literally only Big Ten games, here's why.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
apples to oranges there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about next week's games in Indiana. We're running long here, but it's been a good time. It's been a good time. Hopefully you're having a good time too. But you know what? If you're not, at least we're having a good time. Bottom line there. We have one in-state matchup, and it is happening in the Hulman Center on Wednesday, the 5th. I had to check the count. It always throws me off when there's no Monday games.
Yeah.
It just throws me off.
Because we have our list. It's color coordinated, but it's not like we don't know what day is the color.
Yeah, we just know all the colors are the same day, and I just assume that the first day is Monday, but it is February 4th, so there's no Monday games. So on Wednesday at 7 p.m., Valpo is going to Indiana State. That's going to be super interesting because I think Valpo's like 7-game losing streak.
I think so, something like that now.
They're like a 7-game losing streak. I had it written down in my notes. I don't think I'll talk about it. Indiana State's on a 2-game win streak, so that'll be interesting. Indiana State is favored by 4.5. I think we're going to see some really good ball be played in the Hulman Center.
I think. I mean, remember the last game they went to overtime in the Arc.
Yeah.
So, and they scored a combined almost 200 points. No, over 200 points. No, it was like 98, 95.
Yeah. It was close.
Math, right?
Because if it would have gone in double overtime, we would have been there.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting. Game I'm looking forward to.
Yep.
Max Sunbelt Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
The return game. The mid-conference play. I guess.
Return of the Mac.
Good.
Whatever Fleetwood Mac was singing about.
Yeah, that was a valiant effort. But Ball State is playing Southern Miss at 2 p.m. on Saturday.
That's at Worthen, right?
At Worthen, correct. Ball State are 4.5-point favorites, and I will be there.
Let's go.
I will be in it.
Well, maybe let's not go, but you go.
Yeah. So I will be there. Spoke with Jerry a couple of times. Looking forward to meeting him IRL. That is in real life.
Bro, get us a Hernandez up on here. Come on. Beg for it.
So it'll be cool to meet him in person after we did our interview with him over the summer.
Yeah.
I know we've been big advocates of him and have been following him specifically closely.
Yep.
During his time at Ball State. And it's just a fun thing. Like, I was like looking at the count, I was like, I really want to go to a Ball State game.
Yeah.
Which one can I get to? Max Sunbelt Challenge? Sign me up.
Yep, that'll be a good one. I mean, that's like, analytically appropriate, so like should be good.
Yeah.
Butler needs to get a win at Seton Hall. They're 5-point favorites at Seton Hall. Seton Hall just got, I didn't see the final score. They were down like 18 points to DePaul.
I don't remember that.
So
I missed that
they
one.
should win that game. And then Indiana playing at home against Michigan on Saturday. I guess I should say the day of the Butler game. Butler game is also on Wednesday. Indiana plays at home against Michigan. They're 3-point dogs there. I'm sure Twitter will be full of, Dusty May could have been our coach, but then if Indiana wins, it'll be like, well, this is the guy you wanted to be our coach? Guarantee it. Can't wait. Can't wait. It's gonna be really annoying, I'm sure. Either way.
I think it'll be a great game either way, though. With the way Indiana's played against Purdue, and
Michigan
Michigan has been at the top of the
momentum,
Big Ten. Yeah.
They need to. If this will be a very telling game. It'll either be a letdown game, or Indiana will carry the momentum, and it'll kind of help fix their season.
Yep. What are any other games? I guess I should ask.
Just Evansville playing at home on Saturday against Valpo, or against Bradley. Sorry, not Valpo. Against Bradley, they're 5.5-point dogs, but they have a lot of momentum right now, and I feel like it's not game line is not fully taken into effect what playing at home with a fully healthy Pizzotto is.
Yep. I'll tell you what, though. Purdue really messed up our 11 games of Indiana basketball on Saturday.
Yeah.
They decided to play on Friday.
Blame USC. They've got to fit their schedule.
That's true. But yeah, 10 of the 11 teams all play on Saturday, so it's going to be fun. What also was fun, talking about the other 49 states,
Yeah.
was Monday and Tuesday of last week. Holy cow. The entire week,
It was
phenomenal.
a really good week.
It
in
was a
basketball.
really
It was
good
of
week.
all.
But it started off with two just absolute wild scenarios. So Arizona beat Iowa State in overtime after Caleb Love hit a buzzer beater to send it to overtime.
Yeah, it was like a 3/4 court buzzer beater, and it was like he had only hit 1 3 so far in the game. Like,
yeah. It's like typical Caleb Love. He's either hot or he's not.
It's the Caleb Love experience, man.
And then he hits that, and it's just like, okay, this is what we want out of him every game.
If there's one person if I'm playing you, there's one person I don't want taking that shot, and that's Caleb Love every time.
Every time.
Because you're like, no way he makes this. He was looking the other way. His shoes were untied. He was tripping, and he tossed it with his offhand. And it's like swish.
Yeah, yeah, that's Caleb Love. You said it correctly. The Caleb Love experience. The Duke NC State experience, though, was a roller coaster. So the final score does not necessarily reflect how close it was most of the game, but Duke won 74-64.
Mm-hmm.
So many things happened in this game. One of Duke's players puked on the court.
Yeah.
So much. The managers were out there with like 20 plus towels, just wiping up the area. He like drank Gatorade too fast, and it like upset his tummy, and it all came back up, I guess, is what I think Shire
I wasn't
said.
gonna say we've all been there, but like, you've been like, when you drink too much Gatorade and you're like really hot because you're like just chugging,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh man, that's too much. You're like, I gotta sit down.
Yeah.
But that's brutal. That's a brutal look on
Yeah,
national I've never thrown up on national TV. I've never thrown up on a gym floor either. So
Yeah.
I imagine that's got to be a brutal experience.
Yeah, not ideal. What also wasn't ideal, the student passed out in the stands. One of the Cameron Crazies passed out, and they had to get carried off down the stands, off the court, like through the tunnel. ESPN panned to it.
It was wild.
They like zoomed in, showed this person's body limp, being carried by security guards.
It felt like a HIPAA violation.
It did. Like, it felt so wrong, but ESPN, they said, no, we got this. They zoomed in and they panned and followed from like midway through the stands all the way down, all the way across.
Their crowds
in front of the scorer's table. And then another wild thing late in the game. Did you watch the game?
I didn't watch this late. I didn't get to the end.
Okay, well, late in the game, Tyrese Proctor went for a rebound, I believe, and was like on one foot, leaning out, about to fall out of bounds at the baseline, and Concanipple grabbed his leg and pulled him back and kept him in bounds.
That would never occur to me.
No.
I would be like, oh no, he's falling out of bounds, pass it. I'd be like this.
I'd be ready for the pass. Yeah. No, he grabbed his leg, and they literally said it was like, some people make plays and some people just have elite ball knowledge.
Yeah, like that's like, crazy. I would never think that. You give me 100 times that play happens in front of me, I don't do it once. Not even once.
Well, and the thing is like it might have saved the game for Duke because they were only up 3 at this point.
Yeah.
And it, I believe, was on the NC State half of the court. I think it was under their basket. So it could have it would have given them the inbounds pass.
Could have cut it to 1 or 0.
Yeah, like it could have been a game change. It was a game changing play to just grab homie's leg. And
yeah, that just would never occur to me. Like I don't
know what Tyrese Proctor was thinking when because he was facing the other way, and all of a sudden his leg gets grabbed, and it's just like
he's probably like, "What the heck? Oh, thank God! It's just Con.
Yeah,
thanks, Con.
Yeah." And then so that was all Monday, right? Yeah. And then Tuesday, the chaos continued.
It didn't stop all week.
So St. Louis beat VCU 78-69. With a minute left in the game, there was just this massive fight in the stands. Like we saw last year, the passion that Josh Schertz brought out of the Indiana State fans. Not quite this extreme, but hey, the fans are rallying behind the Billikens, and they're passionate.
That's one way to put it.
They stand on business.
Just want to. Whenever I see a fight, I just want to know like what led to that moment.
Yeah.
Because
I want a post game interview
Yeah.
with the fighters.
Like there are people who, you know, run hot and just like get really mad and are like almost looking to fight, and that's not me.
Called him
like
Josh Sheets.
You know, it was probably chirping. There was definitely some chirping going on, but
yeah.
If that was me, like it would take so much to get me to throw a punch in general, but like to throw a punch in the stands, it'd be crazy.
Yeah. And then the Kentucky-Tennessee game, Kentucky beat Tennessee 78-73. After the game, Kobe Bryant went up to a small child.
This is cute.
Small child wearing a Tennessee jersey. They like chopped it up a little bit. And Kobe Bryant was he was a chill dude.
Yeah, they did a little funny face off.
You know, but he dapped up the kid and took a picture with him. So love to see that for the game.
You know, there are two ways that could go. Like the kid would be cool about it. I mean, like I met a college basketball player. Like that's cool. Or he could be like flipping him the double bird. Like I feel like when kids are like on the floor like that, it's one of those two things.
Yeah, especially after fucking a Tennessee loss. Like kids know ball for the most part. So like they understand the fan base and like the
if they're at that game on the floor at that point, this isn't their first rodeo.
Yeah.
Keep going, man. You're on a roll.
Well, the week kind of died off a little bit, but not until after Wednesday, and then it picked back up on Saturday.
Yeah, we're going a little bit away from our just regular. We figured, you know, we'll give you the hits.
Yeah,
give you the hits.
We talked about the hits,
literally the hits.
But so Wednesday, Auburn beat LSU on the road, 87-74. It ties Auburn's best 20-game start in program history. They're 19-1. So that's pretty lit. But after the game, the home cheerleaders always like surround the court and they do their post-game routine. It's always the same, win or lose. They just do it for the fans, whatever. Janai Broom went up from behind him and just like kind of hopped in their line, and then he hit the gritty, and then the Mackey Arena a little bit, and like was just taunting them for lack of better terms. The cheerleaders, they
ate it up.
No, they just were unfazed. They were just unfazed. Yeah. Like he was just right next to you, and they were just in there. They were just locked in.
That's good.
As this dude, because I'm sure they're used to like players walking in between them or whatever.
Yeah,
but he stopped right next to him, and it was just grittying on him. It was hilarious.
I saw,
to see.
We haven't talked about it, but like the Player of the Year race is heating up between Broom and Cooper Flagg. We haven't done almost no Cooper Flagg content on this show, and I think
good.
Great.
We're better for it.
Yeah, we're like the only ones holding out. But
we've no longer held out because you just talked.
No, I saw a tweet that was like, Janai Broom is my Player of the Year because he's hitting the gritty with the cheerleaders, and Cooper Flagg would never. I was like, that's fair. I'm on the Janai Broom Player of the Year train as well. But then on Saturday, this week it was just like crazy with top 25 teams losing
all week.
Yeah, this week,
specifically Saturday.
Number 3 Iowa State lost, number 5 Florida lost, number 6 Houston lost, number 7 Michigan State, number 9 Marquette, number 11 Kansas, number 12 Kentucky, number 14 Mississippi State, number 21 Louisville, number 23 Ole Miss, number 24 Vanderbilt, just all lost this week. Like it was crazy. And the crazy thing is that like Houston lost. The craziest thing to me about Houston losing is there was some insane ejection. Did you see this ejection in the Houston game, Houston Texas Tech game? It was literally like in the first, I don't even know, maybe 2 minutes, like definitely within the first 5. It was one of the I wrote it down somewhere else, but I missed it. One of the Texas Tech players was throwing a jump overhead, like across to the other side of the court pass.
Yep.
And hit a Houston player in the nuts, like with his leg, completely inadvertently. Flagrant 2. Eject him. Grant McCaslin is so mad. They eject him to win the game.
That's
still in the game against
admittedly,
Houston.
Houston did travel, I think.
Yeah, it was at Texas Tech, but like
end.
still.
No, I meant like travel. Like there was a travel called on the court that like would have that impacted the game.
Like still losing your coach and one of your best players in the first couple minutes of the game.
Yeah,
insane. Because like if you told me anyone did that and they were playing Houston, I was like, Houston won. Duh. Duh. I'm not stupid.
Right.
I'm stupid. And then did you watch any of the Kentucky Arkansas game?
I did not. I missed that.
So Cal went back to Kentucky, and Arkansas's doo-doo. Like they're 1-6 or something at this point in the SEC. They were terrible. They started 0-5. They've just been awful, and they go back to Cal and Arkansas go to Kentucky. So Cal is going back to Kentucky for the first time since he's been the coach there, and they boo him, which naturally. I think is crazy. I think is crazy given how it ended, because they wanted him fired. So you would have to pay a buyout, right? That's how college coaches work. Yep. He opts to go to Arkansas. You don't have to pay your buyout. You get Mark Pope. Like win-win. Yeah. Win-win.
Yeah.
They boo him. I'm like, dude, he took you to 4 Final Fours.
Kentucky fans they're bitter.
They are. And like things were not great the last couple of years, but like he brought you a national championship. And Rick Pitino before the game was like, give him a warm welcome. Like when he comes back, he made a video. Like again, give him a warm welcome, like Big Blue Nation. And side note, if Pitino could go back, I think he'd go back in a heartbeat. He openly says he never should have left, but he's I think second option is he's happy that Pope's there. So like things are obviously pretty intense. Like the fans are crazy, but Arkansas dog water 3-point shooting team. They go out, shoot like over 50%. They are beating the brakes off Kentucky, make their defense look terrible, and Kentucky was down a player like Kirk Risa, and I can't remember who the other player was out, but like Arkansas was playing without Boogie Fland. So like both down people, but it was like the last minute and they're down. Kentucky's down like 10, and they're trying to do like an out of bounds play. Kentucky's got the ball. Arkansas, like in front, he's trying to do a sideline out of bound in front of Arkansas's bench. Okay. Kentucky guy. So he's standing in front of their bench.
Players, yeah.
And one of their dudes is checking out. He's like the dude who's about to inbound the ball is like leaned over, hands on his. Dude just comes over, just walks right into his head. The Kentucky players walks right into his head. He's heading to the bench. So then he walks by, he's high-fiving all the players, runs right into him, keeps high-fiving, comes back to sit down. His seat is right next to the guy who's inbounding the ball. They're like about to go at it. Mark Pope sprints over. It comes over. 2 technicals for for Arkansas, 1 technical for Kentucky, offsetting technicals. Arkansas shooting 2, or Kentucky shooting 2, gets the ball back. They end up losing by 10. It doesn't matter. Like it looked like they were going to try and press it. Then they like let them go the whole shot clock. It was weird, but it was like wild. So he gets booed after the game. Cal is like sideline interview. He's like doing it on the way into the tunnel. And as they're asking him a question, he like turns because his players were talking trash to some Kentucky fans. And he's like scolding him, hey guys, stop it. Nuh-uh, none of that. like a teacher. Meanwhile, the last like 5 minutes of the game, Kentucky fans were just filing out. Like it was a wild experience with him coming back.
Yeah, I had a busy Saturday, so it was hard for me to catch as many games as I wanted to.
I tuned into mostly to the end, but like wild.
But so the last thing I want to talk about, the other 49 for last week, you talk about all the losses Saturday.
Yeah,
I think there's one loss that sticks out the most to me. Brooks Barnheiser losing the end of his college career.
Yeah, he get hurt? What happened to him?
Yeah, so he's been dealing with like a foot injury all season, and he's just been fighting through it. But Chris Collins just finally came out and said that his season is over. And
I saw him crying.
Yeah, it's also, transitively end of his career.
Yeah.
College. So there's a lot of like debate. It's like, okay, well, find a way to get him a medical red shirt. Like, find a way. He only played 11 games one season. Like, find a way.
Right.
But it kind of makes me feel bad because last week we talked about how he puts his body on the line every game. He face planted the floor.
Yeah.
He lost his front teeth. Like,
he got that Eric Mulder in him.
Yeah, but like, it just sucks because now he quite literally, like, him putting his body on the line has quite literally put an end to his career.
Yeah.
College career specifically. Who knows if he goes on to play
He
pro
might be
somewhere.
drafted second round, first in the second round, Puerto Rico.
Could be. Well, he couldn't be this year.
No, he had a gap year.
Yeah. So it was just like, man, we talked about that last week. Then all of a sudden his career is over because of injuries from just being a dog.
Stinks.
So you always hate to see that. But let's wrap up real quick. Let's just
blast through these.
Next week's, or I guess this week's games to look out for.
Yep. So Monday, February 3rd, our game of the day is Iowa State at Kansas. Kansas is 3-point favorites. That's at 9 p.m. Kansas just blew that. We didn't talk about this. I just forgot to put it in our notes. But Kansas blew a 21-point lead at Baylor and then ended up losing by 11. And Iowa State's on a 2-game losing streak after getting smacked by Kansas State and losing in overtime, like we said, at Arizona. So Iowa State at Kansas on Monday at 9 p.m.
On Tuesday, February 4th, the game of the day is Kentucky at Ole Miss. Ole Miss are 3-point favorites. The game is 7 p.m. Obviously, we talked about it. Kentucky just lost Cal's return game at home, and Ole Miss just lost by 10 to Auburn. So both teams looking to bounce back, and they're going to be fired up. So this has the makings to be a banger of a game.
So Wednesday on the 5th, our game of the day is Missouri at Tennessee. Tennessee's favored by 6. That's at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. And, we just want to pull attention to Tamar Bates has been absolutely balling out for Missouri. He's 13.5-point favorites, just dropped like 28 or 29 in their win the other day.
You said 13.5-point favorites.
13.5 points per game. Yeah, so he's doing 13.5 points per game. Just doing really well. He transferred closer to home. Former IU player, if you're not in tune with that circle. So former IU player transferred home to be closer to home, closer to his child. And it has been working for him after a really, really rough season at Missouri last year when they didn't win a single game in the SEC. So shout out to him. Doing well.
Then Thursday the 6th, we've got St. Mary's, who are 3-point favorites at San Francisco at 9 p.m. These teams are 1 and 2 in the West Coast Conference, the WCC. St. Mary's is right. It's West Coast Conference.
Yep.
Okay. You looked at me right when I said that, and I was like, "He's looking at me because I got it wrong, or he's just listening to me."
Just looking at you.
Yeah, could have gone either way. But St. Mary's is 10-0, and San Francisco is 8-3. And then Gonzaga is 7-3. So
rough.
Interesting.
No, see, if I was looking at you because I was just looking at you like this, but if I was looking at you because you did it wrong, I would do it like this.
That makes exact sense.
Friday, February 7th, our game is VCU at Dayton at 7 p.m. VCU is a 1.5 favorite in that game. Dayton has been basically Dookie, like since they left Maui. Like, that's the opposite effect of UConn because UConn was Dookie in Maui, and then they came out and have been mostly okay. But they're 5-4, which puts them in 4th in the A10, and VCU's top 40 in Torvik and 7-2 in the A10, which puts them in 2nd. So VCU been killing it. Dayton not so much, but there's some A10 ball for you on Friday.
Saturday the 8th, we've got some ACC ball. Duke, they are 6-point favorites at Clemson. That is a 6 p.m. tip. This is looking at the rest of the schedule, looking at the way Duke's been playing. This might be the best chance for a team to get a win against Duke in conference play. Clemson, they're 1 game behind Duke at 10-1, while Duke is 11-0. So this is the best matchup, I guess, the best opportunity for a team in the
Somebody
ACC
can do it. Brad Brownell can do it.
Probably. Some people have said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that'll be a fun one to watch.
Mm-hmm. And then Sunday, the 9th, our game of the day is Ohio State at Nebraska. Nebraska is favored by 2, and that game is at 2 p.m. We say it every time, but Ohio State is coached by Valpo alum Jake Diebler, and it should be an interesting game. There's not a ton on Sunday, so no Indiana games. So I guess if you want to tune into something Indiana related, Jake Diebler will be coaching the Buckeyes in Pinnacle Bank at 2 p.m.
All right. Guess the game.
Who's first?
You can go first.
All right, I'm gonna get you to 4.
Yeah, we are both 3 and 9 thus far.
I'm getting you there.
Okay. Pause.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
So, can you guess this basketball game based on this clue? My clue is zapping cattle down in the Sunshine State.
Zapping cattle. Zap. I think I don't know what I think. Well, first I think
Okay, where do you go first? What's your mind
I
at?
think
Where's your mind
Akron
at?
zips. Because if you zip something, it also zaps. Maybe. I don't know. It's probably a stretch.
Zip Zap Zoom or something.
And then the Sunshine State is Florida.
Okay.
What Sunbelt teams are in Florida? Are there even any?
But I said zapping cattle down in the Sunshine State. Jaren.
Yeah, I just don't know cattle.
Cattle in the Sunshine State.
Cattle, cows, farm, bulls. Okay,
You're
so
cooking.
Completely rechange.
He's cooking.
South Florida Bulls.
Okay.
Is zapping.
This is when you have to rack your brain. Like, think of the conference. Who's in the conference?
Yeah, and my mind is blank. I can't even remember what they're. Are they in the ACC?
They're in the, not the ACC.
The AAC.
They're in the AAC.
Wait, and that's where my knowledge is blank. Zapping.
If you don't get this, as soon as I say it, you're like, duh. You've got everything you've said has been correct so far.
So zap. Electric? No. Electric, you plug something in power. Electricity. Energy, mitochondria,
Powerhouse the cell.
But what also zaps cattle are cowboys sometimes, or like fences.
Okay.
So cowboys. Who's UCF playing or USF playing?
The AAC teams are tough.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got no idea.
Fun fact, there are like 3 owl teams in the AAC. Just a fun fact.
Okay.
Just while we're here.
Not
Like
relevant.
FAU.
I have no idea though. I give up.
Temple. You're gonna kick yourself for this one. You were right with South Florida. I was gonna say the zapping cattle down in Tampa, but I figured you would get there and you did, so that makes me feel good. The game is Wichita State at South Florida. Wichita State Shockers. Zapping, shocking. The Wichita State at South Florida. That game's Sunday, February 9th at 2 p.m.
I forget Wichita State's in the AAC
because
they're so dang far away.
Yeah, and they got moved into the AAC like years ago, and then just kind of have just been stuck in the AAC.
Yeah, like once Van Fleet left, they just kind of became unrelevant.
It was like, hey, that's it.
Irrelevant.
I liked it.
Yeah,
man.
It's funny that you say you were gonna get me to 4 because I had a hint earlier. Not a game I picked, but I was like, this will get him to 4. this is going to be too easy. And I don't want him to get to 4 yet.
Right.
I want to go the distance.
I was like so sure. I was like, all I need him to do is just remember that Wichita. I just need him to remember Wichita State is the Shockers. If he remembers the Shockers, then he's golden.
But I think, and
because like, I felt like you were going to like Oklahoma State, like the Cowboys.
Yeah.
For a second, I was like, no, they're in the Big 12.
Well, and that's what I knew that.
Yeah.
I struggle because my mind, I forget teams.
Yeah.
And some of those smaller
There's only
conferences.
364 of them.
Yeah. I forget them, and I also just am so used to like most conferences being very regional.
Yeah.
Other than like the Big 12, West Virginia, I know that because it's such an anomaly.
Yeah.
But now it's like there's no bounds to what the conference, what
for
teams
sure.
are in the conference. So like that's where I struggle.
You know, like oh yeah, the Mustangs. You're like yes, SMU, definitely an ACC team, just like Cal, just like Stanford.
Right. But okay, are you ready?
Yeah. I just want to get 50%. If we had half points, we'd be cooking. We'd be cooking.
I've been saying.
I am against it, but we'd be cooking.
I've been saying. Okay. So the week 14 guess the game that I have. The Philly Billy Battle of the Saints.
The Philly Billy Battle of the Saints.
The Philly Billy Battle of the Saints. It's fun to say.
Battle of the Saints makes me think St. Joe's, St. Louis, St. Bonaventure, and they're all in the A10. Philly makes me think St. Joe's because they're in Philly. And then Billy makes me think Billikens, which would be St. Louis. So I'm going to go St. Louis, St. Joe's.
That is
Final
correct.
Answer? Woo!
St. Louis at St. Joseph's, 9 p.m. Friday, February 7th.
I think of those A10 games all the time because I always want to do like I always think like Battle of the Rams because there's like Rhode Island.
Well, my other hint
and Fordham, and then there's like Battle of the Saints. And there's 3.
My other hint was also an A10 game. It was gonna be Flying to the Commonwealth.
That'd be VCU and Dayton.
Yep.
The game that I had on here.
Yep.
That would have been funny.
But
honestly, probably wouldn't even have thought of it because it was
already on
it.
I just like I was like, okay, that's such an easy hint. But I was like, that's gonna be too easy.
Yeah.
Let's turn it up a little bit of notch. I was like, okay, Philly Billy. That's
like
I was gonna say just the Battle of the Saints, and I feel like that would have lent more in my favor because you would have probably narrowed it down to the 3,
right?
But adding Philly Billy,
then it's just a crapshoot.
Yeah, and adding Philly Billy is what like it narrows it down just a little bit more,
right.
But it's also obscure enough to like
you have to be paying attention.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I said Billikens earlier, and I was like, I should not have said this. I should not have just. I should not have said it.
I think of the Billik every time I think of St. Louis. I think of what the F is a Billiken, dude. I'm like, every time.
That's valid.
4-9, 3-10. We're gonna probably even up next week. You know, we're gonna get there. Neither one of us will get even sniff 500. That's for sure. That is for sure.
Yeah,
but
we'd have to win out.
We'd have to, and we'd have to be doing NCAA tournament games, which honestly might be easier because we will have said we will have be saying these teams so many times. There's only so many days, but this is a good one, Jaren. I don't have anything else other than Valpo at Indiana State should be a good one. So check that out. Enjoy your Monday off from Indiana games, and Purdue, move your game to Saturday.
Yeah. All right. Well, the clock is showing quadruple zeros, so it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. We will see you next week. And remember, in 49 states,
it's just basketball.